Hey guys, today we're going to work on some Pokeball ties for a crochet beanie or a hood, whichever one you'd like. Some of the things that we're going to need today is a crochet tie. I use the double crochet foundation chain. I will link a video down below by another designer on how she made these. You're gonna need some Altoids. I'm just kidding. You're gonna need some stitch markers and some tapestry needles, some scissors. I used a 5mm crochet hook, but this is really going to depend on your tension. You may need to go up or down a size. And then we're going to need some white, red, and black worsted weight yarn. I prefer carrying 1 pound. It tends to be a little bit thicker, better for amigurumi. For the little details on my Pokeball, I used weight 3 or DK yarn and a 2.75mm hook or a C hook. I like the DK yarn a little bit better compared to the worsted weight yarn. I had a hard time trying to get it small or more round with the worsted weight, but worsted weight yarn works as well. So let's grab our red yarn, and we're gonna start out with a semi-decent tail, like maybe 6-7 inches long, and you can use your preferred method of starting a circle. I know some people like using the magic ring. I like chaining 2 and then working on that first chain. A magic ring works as well. Just make sure you chain 1, and we're going to single crochet 6 in the loop or the chain. Once you have your 6 stitches, we're gonna give our crochet hook a break, pull up your loop a little bit bigger so it doesn't accidentally come apart, and open up the circle quite big because we're going to actually attach the end, not the end with the tails, but the other end. We're gonna run it through that circle, and we're going to pull our tail really tight. Once you get it as tight as you need, you're gonna grab your tapestry needle and poke it right through the tie and actually go through the circle and back through the tie. And I actually did this quite a few times, like maybe 4 or 5 times. I want to make sure that that ball really stays in there, so there's no possibility of like pulling at it and it breaking or it falling apart. And then what I like to do towards the end is actually pull the tail through the top, and just for extra security we're gonna knot it a couple of times right up top. And if you want to, I made my tail a little bit too long, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit of the tail off. It's really not that important because it's gonna get covered anyway. So let's wake up our hook from its nap, and we're gonna start round number 2. We're going to single stitch increase on each stitch around, and you should have a total of 12 stitches at the end. For round number 3, we're going to do a single stitch increase on the next stitch and a single stitch on the next stitch. And we're going to do that for a total of 6 times, and we will have 18 stitches at the end. This is the point where I like to start using a stitch marker just to make sure that I did the proper increases during my round. For round number 4, we're going to do a single stitch increase on the next stitch and a single stitch on the next 2 stitches. And again, we're going to do this 6 times, and we're going to end up with 24 stitches at the end. This is our last increase round. So for round number 5, we're going to single stitch increase on the next stitch and single stitch on the next 3 stitches. And again, we're going to repeat this 6 times, and we will end up with 30 stitches at the end. For round number 6, we're simply going to single stitch and each stitch around. For round number 7, we're actually going to change things a little bit. We are going to still single stitch in each stitch around. However, this time we're going to join and we're going to chain 1. On round 8, we're going to do the same as on round 7, so single stitch in each stitch around, join. However, on your join, you want to switch colors. So you may be wondering why I'm having you join. The whole point of joining is that it's just going to give us a really straight line instead of offset a little bit. I don't like joining all the way around because usually when you join you kind of get these tiny bumps. So I like to go on a continuous round up until I get closer to the edge, and then at this point I will start joining. So only a couple of rows will have those bumps, but in a Pokeball it doesn't matter because it's going to, that area is going to be covered with the little details. So before we join to start round number 9, we're actually going to swap colors, and I like to just tie them in the back. So I'm going to cut the red yarn and tie it with the tail of the black one, and this way it's just going to give us a little bit extra security. So for round number 9, we're going to slit stitch all the way around on the back loops only. When you get at the end of the round, make sure that you're joining on the first slit stitch and not the chain 1 that you made initially. So for round number 10, we're actually going to single stitch in each back loop all the way around, and then we're going to join, and when we're joining we're going to actually switch the color to white. On the join, we are attaching the white yarn, and we're kind of going to do the same process that we did with the black yarn. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut my black tail and tie it in with the white tail just to secure it a little bit. And just like we did on round 9, we're going to slit stitch in each back loop all the way around, and then join and chain 1. For round number 12, we're going to single stitch in each back loop all the way around, and then we're going to join and chain 1. And this is going to be the last time we're actually going to join and chain 1. After round 12, we're actually going to go back to working on continuous rounds. On round 13, you're going to single stitch in each stitch around, and make sure that at the end of this round you do not join. We're actually going to go back in working on continuous rounds. We are going back to working on continuous rounds, so let's give our stitch marker a little wake-up call. So since we're not joining, we're just going to go straight ahead and work on that first stitch we made. We're going to start with a single stitch decrease and then single stitch in the next 3 stitches, and we're going to repeat that 6 times total, and we will end up with 24 stitches at the end. For round number 15, we're going to decrease on the next 2 stitches and single stitch in the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do that 6 times, and at the end we will end up with 18 stitches. On round 16, we're going to decrease on the next 2 stitches and single stitch in the next stitch. We're going to do that for a total of 6 times, and we will end up with 12 stitches at the end. Before we do the last round, we're actually going to fill our Pokeball. Usually I use fiber fill, but I had so much brushed yarn left over that I decided to use the brushed yarn as filling, which works amazingly, by the way. For our last round, we're going to decrease all the way around, join, fasten off, and weave in your beautiful ends. So now we're going to work on the little detail that goes around the Pokeball. I did mention earlier on the video that I liked using the DK or weight 3 yarn better than the worsted weight yarn in a 2.75mm hook. I feel like it gives it a little bit more of a cleaner look. I do think both look fine and cute. I just prefer the DK yarn. If you do use worsted weight yarn, I just did 2 circles. The bigger circle, I used 10 double crochets on a magic ring or a chain. And then for the white one, I did 8 single crochets on a magic ring. I'm I'm going to speed up through this process a little bit because it's very simple. The large circle is just 2 rounds. The first round has 8 half double crochets, join, chain 1. On the second round, do a half double crochet increase on each stitch, join, and fast enough. Make sure you leave a long enough tail to be able to sew it onto the ball. For the small circle, it is also very simple. I just did 8 half double crochets on a magic ring or a chain, whichever way you prefer to start a circle. You join, you fast enough, and make sure you leave a long tail for later. What? This is the last step. So what I like to do is I like pulling that initial white tail through the center of the black circle, and I'm gonna tie them up a couple of times just to make sure that they do not try to escape each other. And with your tapestry needle and the other tail, whip stitch through the black and the white circle all the way around. So once I'm done whipping it, I like to bring that white tail all the way to the back and then do a couple knots with the tails that were already there, and I like to cut them. It doesn't really have to be perfect. I do like it that it sometimes elevates the little button a little bit, so I'm not too worried about those tails. Just make sure that they're nicely tucked in before you whip stitch with the black yarn. And now we're gonna attach the buttons to the beautiful Pokeball, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I know it's kind of crazy. I know it's my very first YouTube video, so we can only go up from here, right? Hopefully I can get better at working all of this, and I did pick a little bit of an easier project to begin with, and I just really look forward to bringing you guys more designs and more fun stuff in my channel. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm struggling here with that needle. I had to use some pliers. I don't even know if you're still listening. Pretty sure I'm supposed to say subscribe if you would like to have some more content, and give me some thumbs up if you like this video. Till next time.